Good morning, football fans. Big Al here on this football Sunday. It is September 14th, 2025, and this is the week 2 injury report for every game going into this afternoon. And with that, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, and get notified every time I go live. And off we go with the week 2 injury report, and we'll start with the afternoon games first, beginning with the Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions. All right. Cornerback Kyler Gordon will be out today with a hamstring. Defensive tackle Grady Jarrett is questionable with a knee. Wide receiver Jahdae Walker is doubtful with an ankle. Also listed on the injury report are cornerback Josh Blackwell, linebacker TJ Evans, quarterback Jalen Johnson, running back Roschon Johnson, and wide receiver DJ Moore. For the Lions, linebacker Trevor Nowatzki is out with an elbow. Running back Sion Vaki, is doubtful with a hamstring. Meanwhile, both tackle Taylor Decker with a shoulder and safety Kirby Joseph with a knee are both listed as questionable. Also listed are cornerback Terrion Arnold, linebacker Jack Campbell, and safety Daniel Thomas. On now to the New York Giants at the Dallas Cowboys. Starting off with the Giants, linebacker Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles is out with a calf. Defensive tackle Raheem Nunez-Roches is doubtful with a foot. Wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson's questionable with an ankle. And offensive tackle Andrew Thomas with a foot is listed as doubtful. Other players on the injury report for the Giants include defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence, linebacker Micah McFadden, wide receiver Malik Nabers, and wide receiver Darius Slayton. Not much to talk about for the Cowboys. One big name is cornerback DaRon Bland. He's out with a foot. And then safeties Malik Hooker and Wanye Thomas are also listed on the injury report, but looks like they'll both go today. All right, on to the Buffalo Bills at the New York Jets. We'll start off with the Bills. One big loss for them this week is defensive tackle Ed Oliver. He is out with an ankle. Meanwhile, linebacker Shaq Thompson is questionable with a hamstring and a hand. Safety Jordan Hancock is questionable with a shoulder. Cornerback Teron Johnson is questionable with a quadricep. And cornerback Tre'Davious White is questionable with a groin. Other names listed include cornerback Brandon Codrington, I should say, sorry about that. Wide receiver Keon Coleman, running back James Cook, tight end Dawson Knox, and defensive end Greg Rousseau. For the Jets, running back Kene Nwangwu with a hamstring, wide receiver Josh Reynolds also with a hamstring, and defensive tackle Jay Tufele with an illness are all out today. Meanwhile, cornerback Michael Carter II with a shoulder is questionable, and tight end Mason Taylor with an ankle is also questionable. What up, Joey? How you doing? I didn't see you come in. All right. Others listed on the injury report include cornerback Sauce Gardner, linebacker Marcelino McCrary Ball, and tackle Chikuma Okorafor. All right, next, the Seattle Seahawks at the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll start with the Seahawks. Safety Nick Emanwari is out with an ankle. And cornerback Devin Witherspoon is doubtful with a knee. Other names listed include wide receiver Jake Bobo, linebacker Ernest Jones, safety Julian Love, linebacker Uchenna Nwosu, defensive tackle Jordan Reed, and wide receiver Derek Young. And for the Steelers, safety Deshaun Elliott, and defensive tackle Derek Harbin are both out with knee injuries, while cornerback Joey Porter Jr. is out with a hamstring. Other names listed on Pittsburgh's injury report include tackle Calvin Anderson, linebacker Nate Herbig, defensive tackle Cam Hayward, linebacker Alex Highsmith, and linebacker TJ Watt. All right, now to the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins. We'll start off with the Patriots. Quarterback Christian Gonzalez is out today with a hamstring. Defensive end Keon White is out with an illness. Meanwhile, both linebacker Marte Mapu with a neck and tackle Morgan Moses with a foot are listed as questionable. Other names on the Patriots injury report include defensive tackle Christian Barmore, wide receiver Kayshon Boutte, linebacker Christian Ellis, linebacker Harold Landry III, and cornerback Charles Woods. And for the Dolphins, cornerback Ethan Bonner is doubtful with a hamstring. Safety Ashton Davis is questionable with a knee. Running back Jalen Wright is doubtful with a knee. Meanwhile, cornerback Storm Duck with an ankle. Tackle Austin Jackson with a toe. Defensive tackle Benito Jones with an oblique. And tight end Darren Waller with a hip are all out. And the only other name mentioned is wide receiver Jalen Waddle. Looks like he's ready to go for this afternoon. Next, the Los Angeles Rams and the Tennessee Titans. And we'll start off with the Rams. Guard Steve Avila is doubtful with an ankle. And tight end Kobe Parkinson is also doubtful with a shoulder. Other names listed include wide receiver Devontae Adams, tight end Dennis Allen, guard Kevin Dotson, tackle Rob Haverstein, tight end Tyler Higbee, and tackle Alaric Jackson. And for the Titans, offensive tackle J.C. Latham is out with a hip. Running back Khalil Mullins is doubtful with an ankle. Defensive tackle Tavondre Sweat is out with an ankle. And safety Kevin Winston Jr. is doubtful with a hamstring. Other names listed include safety Quandre Diggs, linebacker Arden Key, and cornerback L'Jarius Sneed. Moving on to the San Francisco 49ers and the New Orleans Saints. And there are a lot of injuries for San Francisco. We'll start with them. Wide receiver Jawan Jennings is questionable with a shoulder. Quarterback Brock Purdy, who has a shoulder and a toe, is out. And tackle Trent Williams is questionable with a knee. Tight end George Kittle, we know he is out with an injury as well. So he will not be playing against the Saints today. Other names listed include defensive end Nick Bosa, linebacker Luke Gifford, defensive end Yatir Gross-Matos, running back Jordan James, quarterback Mac Jones, who will start for San Francisco today, running back Christian McCaffrey, guard Dominic Pony, and wide receiver Jordan Watkins. For the Saints, safety Julian Blackmon is out with a shoulder. Offensive tackle Talaisi Fuaga is questionable with a knee. Offensive guard Trevor Penning is out with a toe, and defensive end Chase Young is also out with a calf. Others listed include safety Jordan Howden, running back Velus Jones Jr., and long snapper Zach Wood. All right, Jacksonville Jaguars at the Cincinnati Bengals. Starting off with the Jags, cornerback Monteric Brown is doubtful with an ankle. Guard Wyatt Millum is out with a knee. And other names listed include tackle Anton Harrison, linebacker Foye Oluokun, and tackle Cole Van Lanen. The Cincinnati Bengals are going into this game relatively healthy. There are only 3 names listed on the injury report, but it looks like all 3 may play, including defensive tackle B.J. Hill, tackle Amarius Mims, and long snapper William Wagner. All right, Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens. Start with Cleveland. Tackle Jack Conklin with an eye and an elbow is questionable. Defensive tackle Mike Hall Jr. will not play today. He is out with a knee. And running back Quinshawn Judkins is listed as questionable with a personal matter, but it looks like he will go today. Other names listed include guard Joe Patonio, tackle DeJuan Jones, and cornerback Denzel Ward. And for the Ravens, tight end Isaiah Likely is out with a foot, and fullback Patrick Ricard is out with a calf. Other names listed include cornerback Jair Alexander, wide receiver Rashad Bateman, and defensive tackle Nnamdi Madubuike. And on to the late games now. We'll start with the Denver Broncos at the Indianapolis Colts. And we'll begin with the Broncos injury report. Tight end Nate Atkins is out with an ankle, and linebacker Dre Greenlaw is out with a quadricep. Other names listed include tight end Evan Ingram, defensive end John Franklin Myers, and linebacker Alex Singleton. For the Colts, running back Tyler Goodson is questionable with an elbow. Cornerback Jalen Jones is out today with a hamstring. Defensive end Laiatu Latu is questionable with a hamstring. And cornerback Charvarius Ward is out with a concussion. Hello, Anna. How are you? Other names listed on Indy's injury report include defensive tackle DeForest Buckner, wide receivers Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman, defensive tackle Grover Stewart, and tackle Jalen Travis. Next up, the Carolina Panthers at the Arizona Cardinals. For the Panthers, tackle Akeem Ekwonu is questionable with an illness, while defensive tackle Tershawn Wharton is out with a hamstring. Other names listed include cornerback Caleb Evans, guard Robert Hunt, linebacker Patrick Jones II, guard Damian Lewis, wide receiver Hunter Renfrow, and defensive end A'Shawn Robinson. And for the Cardinals, punter Blake Gillikin is questionable with a back, guard Will Hernandez is questionable with a knee, tight end Tip Ryman is out with a foot, and linebacker Cody Simon is out with a concussion. Other names listed include tackle Kelvin Beachum, defensive tackle Calais Campbell, and guard John Gaines II. Then we have the Super Bowl rematch between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, and we will start with the Eagles. The big one for us is tight end Dallas Goedert. He's out with a knee. Backup running back Will Shipley is out with an oblique. Offensive tackle Cameron Williams is out with a shoulder. And backup quarterback Tanner McKee is questionable with a thumb. Other names listed on Philly's injury report include guard Landon Dickinson. Of course, he injured, I think it was his back during training camp. But I expect him to play today. Same with linebacker Jalex Hunt. And for the Chiefs, wide receiver Jalen Royals is out with a knee. And wide receiver Xavier Worthy is out also with a shoulder. Of course, he injured that shoulder in the Brazil game last Friday. Other names listed include linebacker Nick Bolton, wide receiver Marquise Hollywood Brown, safety Chamari Connor, defensive end Ashton Gilloit. Let me get that off of there. Defensive tackle Omar Norman Lott, guard Trey Smith, tackle Jawan Taylor, linebacker Drew Tranquill as well. Later tonight, you have the Atlanta Falcons at the Minnesota Vikings. And we'll start off with the Falcons, and there are a lot of names here. Wide receiver Jamal Agnew is out with a groin. Cornerback Billy Bowman Jr. is questionable with a shoulder. Safety Jordan Fuller is out with a knee. Safety DeMarco Hellams is also questionable with a hamstring. Place kicker Younghoe Koo is out tonight. It is non-injury related. Tackle Jack Nelson is out with a calf. Linebacker James Pierce Jr. is questionable with a groin. And wide receiver Casey Washington is out with a concussion. Other names listed for the Falcons include defensive end Leonard Floyd, wide receiver Drake London, offensive tackle Jake Matthews, wide receiver Darnell Mooney, and defensive tackle David Onyemata. And for the Vikings, tackle Christian Darrisaw is out with a knee, while linebacker Austin Keys is questionable with a groin. Cornerback Jeff Okudah is out with a concussion. Safety Harrison Smith is questionable with an illness, and defensive end Andrew Van Ginkel is out tonight with a concussion. Other players listed include defensive tackle Jonathan Allen, linebacker Blake Cashman, running back Ty Chandler, defensive tackle Javon Hargrave, center Ryan Kelly, quarterback J.J. McCarthy, wide receiver Jalen Naylor, tight end Josh Oliver, wide receiver Miles Price, cornerback Isaiah Rodgers, running back Xavier Scott, and defensive tackle Elijah Williams. All right, on to the Monday Night Football doubleheader, beginning with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Houston Texans. And we'll begin with the Tampa Bay injury report. Wide receiver Chris Godwin is out with an ankle. Guard Luke Goedeke is questionable with a foot. Safety Christian Eisen is questionable with an oblique. Cornerback Benjamin Morrison is questionable with a quadricep. And tackle Tristan Wirfs is out once again with that knee injury. Other names listed include linebacker Levante David, wide receiver Mike Evans, defensive tackle Greg Gaines, tight end Cole Clef, cornerback Zion McCollum, and linebacker Hassan Reddick. And then for the Texans, you have center Jake Andrews with an ankle, wide receiver Braxton Berrios with a hamstring, and wide receiver Christian Kirk with a hamstring, all listed as out. Two other names were listed, including tackle Blake Fisher and guard Ed Ingram. And in the second game of the Monday Night doubleheader, the Los Angeles Chargers at the Las Vegas Raiders. We'll start with the Chargers. Safety Elijah Molden is out with a hamstring. Linebacker Denzel Perryman is out with an ankle. Linebacker Delshon Phillips is questionable with a toe. The other name mentioned is cornerback Tarheeb Still. And for the Raiders, tight end Brock Bowers questionable with a knee. And guard Jackson Powers Johnson is out with a concussion. The other name mentioned for Vegas is linebacker Landon Roberts. And that is your Week 2 injury report, entering Sunday afternoon's action here in week number 2 of the NFL season. The college football rankings will be released in the next couple of hours, and I will be back on tomorrow to run down both the Associated Press and the AFCA coaches polls entering week 4 of the college football season, so make sure you join me for that. In the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching and enjoy the pigskin. Peace out.